Welcome to Reconnect, the podcast dedicated to sharing and defending the good news of Jesus Christ. The word religion comes from two root words, re, again, and lig, connect. Together, religion means reconnect. The Bible reveals that it is through Jesus Christ alone that we are reconnected into a right relationship with God. Reconnect us, O Lord. Hi everyone, welcome to episode 81 of Reconnect. This is an Eclectic Bullet. I had an Eclectic Bullet episode once before. It's random hodgepodge events, maybe recent occurrences in my life, or various small bits that I found on Facebook or other social media sites or YouTube that I just want to piece together to make a little episode for you to listen to. This is a weekly podcast. That's the goal, at least, released on Tuesdays. Periodically, I take a couple weeks off, maybe 3 weeks off, maybe a month off, usually around Christmas time and during the summer or when those breaks occur. So hopefully I'm back into full swing after having taken a few weeks off during Christmas. And last week was the returning episode for 2017. It's had a good bit of downloads, about 80 so far. Which is pretty good for me during the first week. Right now I'm recording this on January 22nd. This week, I believe it was on Thursday, we saw the inauguration of President Donald Trump of the United States of America, America's 45th president. Thought I'd talk about that first for this Eclectic Bullet episode. So to kind of make a connection for more what we're talking about right now, I wanted to talk briefly on the different people that were involved in the prayers and addresses along that line, the religious addresses of the ceremony. According to the Washington Post, the inaugural committee told the Post on Wednesday that Cardinal Timothy Dolan, the Reverend Franklin Graham, Rabbi Marvin Hier, Bishop Wayne T. Jackson, and the Reverend Samuel Rodriguez, and Pastor Paula White will all give readings at the ceremony. I did not see all their addresses. I've not heard all their addresses. The three that I did hear were the Rabbi Marvin Hier, followed by the Reverend Franklin Graham, and then Bishop Wayne T. Jackson following after Graham. I thought it was very interesting, this sort of closing benediction that came from a rabbi, followed up by Franklin Graham. Seems like religious syncretism occurring there. What does that mean when a rabbi closes in prayer, followed by a Christian man right after? Does that give any illusion that we're praying to the same God, that we recognize the same God? Do the words contradict one another or not? It's something that I've always found interesting, these sort of public prayer settings with different religious people praying and the confusion that could come about from that. Just curious what you listeners thought, if you saw that. I know there was a whole lot on Facebook about Paula White as well, being a female pastor, as well as being some sort of false prophetess. I've not looked into that at all. I did not even hear her opening prayer or statement. I just wanted to address this a little bit. I did highly appreciate what Reverend Franklin Graham did, though. After the Jewish rabbi prayed, he very adamantly and very directly stated the work of Christ to save mankind and made it very clear that what he believes about Jesus is opposed to what the rabbi said beforehand. The rabbi clearly just speaking about God and Lord. Graham really steps in and shows that Christ is Lord, which is something that I think if you're going to have some sort of public prayer, you might as well do. And Franklin Graham certainly proclaimed the gospel in his message, and so I cannot fault him in any way for praying after a rabbi in such a setting. I don't think I could fault him in any way praying after a Muslim or a Hindu or anyone else, because I think his prayer was very, very blatantly Christian, and he had a massive audience in order to make that proclamation. I'm curious what you all would think, listeners, if you think when you are stepping up to pray after someone else, you should make it very clear that you in no way recognize or stand with the previous speaker in their religious belief system. Just to make that clear, because I know the little bit of Trump's speech I caught, I didn't see the whole thing, the little bit I caught, did mention something about us all having the same God or same Lord, or there being only one Lord. And so that can be a little confusing, I think, when you have the main inductee of this ceremony saying there's only one Lord, or that we all have the same Lord. I forget his exact terminology that Trump used. And then followed up with a rabbi and a Christian. Do those two have the same Lord? Do they have the same God? Clearly, in a wide sense, they have the same Lord, in that there is only one God, according to the Christian faith, according to what has been revealed to us in the Bible. But in a very specific sense, they do not have the same Lord, because the rabbi has rejected Jesus Christ as Lord. One of the people that prayed and spoke at this inauguration was the Reverend Samuel Rodriguez. I don't know much about his teachings or what sort of denomination he's a part of, if he's scriptural based or not, but there's one YouTube video of his that has made the rounds quite a bit on social media from time to time, and it's one where he's speaking about how he was asked to pray before a very large public crowd in a secular setting, and he was like, well, why wouldn't I take this? I don't know why you want me to pray in this secular setting, but why would I not take advantage of this in order to pray and present the gospel in my prayer and present the one true Lord in my prayer? So he signed up for it, and then when he gets there, he finds out a slew of other religious people were asked to pray. So I'm going to have a YouTube clip of his right now just so you can hear what he did and how he responded when he had agreed to pray in public, and then finding out, I'm actually praying along with a bunch of other religious people. He in an excellent way demonstrates that who he is praying to in no way is the same God that these other people are praying to, and he does it in such a wonderful fashion. I thought I'd go ahead and play this video of him.
I was invited to make a prayer for this event in Washington, D.C. It was a large event, mucho people. And I do mean mucho. And I was invited to pray, and the organizer is a television personality who you recognize, not a believer, but he invited me. He's a friend. He said, Rodriguez, I want you to come in. I want you to pray for the event. I said, it's a secular event. It has nothing to do with Christianity. Why would you want me to pray? Well, I just want you to pray. You want me to come and pray for an event that has absolutely no spiritual content? Yeah, I want you to pray. Oh, you want me to pray? You want me to pray? I'll pray. So they flew me in. It's a large event, and I do mean very large, a couple 100,000 people. And I come in, and I go backstage, and right there, since I'm going out there next to the Washington Monument, and we're going up, and I'm going up, and the personality looks at me and says, we changed the program. And again, I took that red-eye flight from Frisco to D.C. So it's, third caramel macchiato, and I'm looking, and I'm going, what? And he went, we changed the program. You're still praying, but in the spirit of correctness, we invited other people, other faith narratives to pray. And he goes, you know how it is. I go, no, I don't, but go ahead and tell me. And he says, well, and this sounds like three guys go to a bar, but you have to see it. It's actually, you can see what I say. He goes, we have a universalist minister who will pray. We have an imam, the Muslim faith. We have a rabbi, and you're the Christian. He goes, you want to pray first or last? Something inside of me said, son, you better pray last to fix all the mess everybody else makes out there in that place. So I said, I'll pray last. With great humility, I'll pray last. So the lady went up first, and she goes up first, and she prayed, and she went, God, you're the God of many names and no name at all. You're the air, you're the wind, you're the rock, you're the leaf. You're the tree. You are everything, and yet you are nothing. Amen. Well, isn't that special? And the imam prayed in the name of Allah, and the rabbi did a good prayer, and I'm coming up, and I'm fighting with God, and I don't know but God is bilingual, so I'm fighting with God. And I'm going, Señor, ¿por qué tú me metes en este lío, Señor? God, why are you putting me in this? I thought you opened the door. No man can close. I will open the door. I want the door was open, so I just went right through it because you opened the door. And I took a 6-hour flight, and now I'm going. I can't 72 days. I'm going. And now I'm going to go back home. I don't want to pay people. I don't want to make them uncomfortable. I don't want to make them feel. I thought I had a prayer ready, but now I don't want to make them feel bad. How do I pray here? I mean, I had the script ready, and now I'm not here for contract. I'm here to pray. But they're here. How do I pray now? Do I pray in the name of what? The air? What do I pray? How do I pray? And the Lord, Spirit of God told me, just pray like you do at church. Y'all never been to my church. So I grabbed the mic, hit the mic, looked and said, okay, looked at the crowd. Everybody's deer in headlights looking at you and saying, let's pray. In the name that is above all the other names. In the name to which every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess. No other name given unto man through by which salvation has come unto all mankind. In the name of he who saves, he who delivers, he who heals, and he who is coming back again. In the name of my Lord and my Savior, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, we pray.
Hey, as I said, I'm recording this on January 22nd. Today, in Washington, D.C., there is what is called a Women's March, or Women's March. Here's a statement about this march from Matt Walsh that I saw he posted to Facebook. He said, "Remember this, everyone. Soak this in. Today, the media has discovered an intense interest in political demonstrations. As thousands of women descend upon D.C. to whine about the legitimate results of a legal election, incoherently demand, quote, rights they already possess and have possessed for almost a century, insist on more free birth control, and call for the continued mass slaughter of infants, the media is in a state of utter elation. I turned on CNN for a few minutes, and they had dozens of reporters staged all throughout the march, as well as a team of reporters stationed at the, quote, sister marches across the globe. I've heard over and over again that this march is, quote, historic and among the biggest ever. They've never seen anything like this. What a beautiful spectacle. What an inspiration, blah, blah, etc., and so forth. But as I peer into the future, I see a really bizarre phenomenon. Mysteriously, out of nowhere, the media's obsession with covering political marches will completely dissipate. This will happen in precisely 6 days. Strangely, it will coincide with the exact moment when hundreds of thousands of pro-life women and men come to D.C. to protest abortion. The March for Life will be significantly larger than the, quote, Women's March. I know this for a fact because the March for Life is always the largest political demonstration in America. No left-wing protest has ever come close or will ever come close, yet the media will ignore it. I know this because the media always ignores it. Looked at objectively, the March for Life is quite a bit more newsworthy than the temper tantrum happening today. For one thing, there are more people. For another, the people are actually protesting something real. For still another, the March for Life represents 40 years of sustained pro-life activism, as opposed to this momentary blip on the radar screen. If you want to understand why people utterly detest the media and everything it represents, just turn on the TV today and then turn it on next Friday. That will tell you everything you need to know. Truly despicable, end quote. That was Matt Walsh speaking about the Women's March today and really what they're marching for. It's the right to kill their babies, wanting more free birth control. I've even seen some people make posts that they're marching for women and the LGBTQ community. I have no idea how, quote, women's rights should be equated to the LGBTQ community, but I guess they've made it such. He mentioned the March for Life. The March for Life is January 27th this year, 2017. Here's a post from the March for Life on their Facebook post that they made today as well. This is #WhyWeMarch. On this day, 44 years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court made decisions of judicial activism in Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton, effectively establishing abortion on demand throughout all 3 trimesters across our country. Since that time, over 57 million Americans have been lost to abortion. Countless moms and dads grieve having chosen abortion. The magnitude of the loss of life is immeasurable, yet there is hope. The tragedy of abortion also motivates us to take action. That is why we March for Life on Friday. Since the first March for Life 44 years ago, we've seen much progress. Abortions are at a historic low in our country, and pro-life protections have been enacted across the country. And while the pro-abortion contingent is becoming even more vociferous in their extremism, our culture is becoming more and more pro-life, especially our nation's youth. But we still have a long way to go. Will you join us at the March for Life on Friday, January 27, 2017? All right, so, man, this day, January 22nd, anniversary of Roe versus Wade. Amazing, huh? Last year, I believe it was last year, that was 2 years ago, I stood outside of Planned Parenthood with survivors, a pro-life activism group, and it was truly an impactful night for me to stand outside of Planned Parenthood, holding candles. We're having a prayer vigil. We had signs that said Planned Parenthood kills babies. It was at night that we did this, so people could clearly see the candle lights. The message Planned Parenthood kills babies was spelled using Christmas lights, so you could read it. The graphic images of what occurs inside Planned Parenthood facilities every day were on display with lights so that people could see them going by. And we were greeted a lot of people screaming obscenities at us, I guess they like people killing babies. Clearly, a lot of women marching for that right, quote, right today, to kill their own child. Small number of people, supported what we were doing, but at the end of this thing, we had a prayer, and the prayer time was really powerful. Standing literally outside the gates of slaughter of the innocents, praying for them, lifting them up to God. Very, very powerful. Asking forgiveness for our nation, for our country, for allowing such atrocity to happen. 57 million killed. It's very, very sad, very tragic. And so, do you speak for the unborn? Do you give a voice to the voiceless? Something I encourage you to do. And there's a lot. A lot of progress has been made, as the March for Life indicated, historic low in our country for abortions. However, I think what could be affecting that number are the over-the-counter pills which are designed to abort your pregnancy that people buy and take. I think that would drastically lower if every time people have sex, they're popping pills to make sure if they were pregnant, the pregnancy ends in abortion would, drastically, I think, decrease this number that's being counted here. Also, stuff to look into if you're interested in it is that the pill that women are on, where they take it every day for a month to help reduce pregnancy, is actually in many ways a form of abortion as well. There's studies on that. It's designed to keep conception from happening, but then if conception does occur, the pill's designed to make sure implantation doesn't happen. And it causes problems when a woman does want to be pregnant, because it affects her uterus lining for when she does want to be pregnant, so where implantation may be harder at that point. Which is really bad stuff that's happening, and I think this March for Life is a sign of goodness. I saw a thing listed that the bulk of the people there are young people, high school to college age. That is the bulk of the people that show up for the March for Life in D.C. And, I think my wife, we always support this stuff. I've gone out a few times, activism for pro-life stuff, but I make posts semi-often on it. We did a podcast episode on it with James Conrad. But, it's not something I do every day. I don't always keep this stuff in mind. Just found out about this march. My wife, when she found out about it, was like, hey, I want to go to that this year. But we don't have the money right now to buy a plane ticket and get hotels for her. But we're going to try to find something local to do on the 27th. Hopefully there's a local March for Life somewhere. Hopefully. And hopefully we will, maybe be able to do this next year, because this is an annual march. And it's one we need to take part in until babies have the right to life. Talk about equal rights, right? And something I find very weird is that my wife makes a post like this. It gets 0 likes, besides from me. She makes a post of our little girl, our daughter. She's now about 2, just a little over 2 now. 2 years and change. She gets, 50 to 70 likes when she makes a post like that. And it has been since she's born. So it's like a lot of her friends apparently will like the cute child once it's born, but won't voice such support by hitting the like button for the unborn. It's very inconsistent, and it makes me grieve. And I know a lot of people don't want to be active in this way because they're like, well, if we speak out against it, call it abortion, show it for what it is, we hurt those who've already had it. And it's like, well, those people, there's grace for them too. And that's the good thing about this, I think, You have to speak out, call evil evil. When evil is called good and it's called something it's not, our job is to shine a light and expose the darkness. And as we do that, we also hold out the light of Christ and the gospel message. So if anyone has had an abortion, the message for them is there is forgiveness. Christ has forgiven all sins, even the sin of taking your unborn. That guilt that you're carrying around with you is removed. It should be freed. All right? Should be freed on the cross of Christ. And I say should be. I mean, obviously, objectively it is. But subjectively, that objective justification that Christ won for the world comes through faith. And so should be is when when the grace of Christ is received through faith. And there's therefore no condemnation for those of us who are in Christ Jesus. And so to be pro-life is very much what Jesus is about, because he said he came to give life and to give it to the full, and that there is a thief who's come to steal, kill, and destroy. And abortion is certainly the work of the thief, the devil. All right, I'm going to leave you right now with a song called Abortion by Kid Rock. Very unlikely place to maybe find an anti-abortion song, but that's it. I don't have permission to play this song by Kid Rock. But I think hopefully he at least personally would support me playing this song on my podcast right now. I would think he's been very conservative and outspoken, and this song is very much an anti-abortion song. One of the best I've heard for anti-abortion. I really love it. And a lot of it just comes from, the artist. It seems like maybe what people would think is the unlikely place to hear this, but Bobby really does this one well.
This love inside, I just can't let it out. This man needs by my only guy. never seen you. I am feeling oh so young, but still I must die to get to you. And if I do, I wonder how just you will see me and implicate the things I've done. I'm dying in the shadows of this man I've never seen. I'll see you soon. Now where's my
Many different people have many different opinions about the person and work of Jesus Christ. Latter-day Saints, or Mormons, believe Jesus is our spirit brother, along with Lucifer. Jehovah's Witnesses believe Jesus is actually Michael the Archangel. Muslims believe Jesus was the precursor prophet to Muhammad. Scientologists believe that Jesus was a tool for mind corruption. But what should you believe about Jesus? Better yet, how do you talk about him among these other views? Robot Jesus and Three Other Jesuses You Never Knew is a book authored by me, Kyle Bashirs, that explores how Jesus is viewed within Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness, Islam, and Scientology for the purpose of aiding fruitful dialogue about the gospel. It's available now on Amazon in paperback and Kindle editions. Check out dearephesus.org for a free chapter. That's dearephesus.org, and just click on the resource tab. There are many different Jesuses in the world. Are you prepared to give an account for the Savior Jesus?
To financially support Reconnect, visit contradictmovement.org and order your copy of Contradict, They Can't All Be True. Contradict stickers and tracks are also available. Again, that's contradictmovement.org.
I watched a couple movies this week, La La Land and Boyhood. I thought I would address Boyhood first. I'm going to go ahead and play a interview with the actor who played this little boy in the movie Boyhood. Just a brief thing before I play this interview so maybe you can understand some of the full context here. The movie follows a boy from the age of like 6 to 18. So like a 12-year span, this movie follows a boy, and it's the same boy and the same parents that are actors. So you get to see this boy grow up from age 6 to 18. You see his sister, who's a little bit older, grow up throughout that time span too. And obviously you get to see his mom and dad age during those 12 years without having to use a lot of movie magic, special effects, makeup stuff. So it's really cool to see. Now, I haven't seen this sort of thing done before. They're advertising it as the first film to ever do this. So before I give sort of what I took away from this, because to me, this movie was very thought-provoking for me in a lot of ways, and in some ways, I think it was very pro-God or pro-Christian by showing what life is like without God. All right, so here's the little interview. This is the actor that plays the boy from 6 to 18 years old in this film. And he's been interviewed by Jimmy Fallon.
That's what I'm talking about. Eller Coltrane, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
The movie is phenomenal. It's called Boyhood. And have you done other movies besides this movie? It took 12 years to make this movie.
This is about it. You know?
Yeah. I would say so, yeah. You started this when you were 6 years old?
I was 6 when I was cast. Started filming after I turned 7, but...
And did you have any idea what you're getting into with this?
No, there's no way. There's no way. I understood as much as I could, but 12 years is sort of an abstract concept now as a 19-year-old, but at 6, it's unfathomable.
You just thought you were going into a thing and you're
I'm going to go be in a movie,
And so every summer or something you would film...
Yeah, it was never like a set time of year specifically, but it generally was in the summer kind of.
How did he pull this off? How did you did you hide in a cave or something? Did you what did he make you sign in did he do any other jobs or did you?
No, I was still going to auditions for a little while, the first few years, but I think at a certain point I don't know, I felt like it deserved all of my attention, I guess. And, but no, there was no, they didn't swear me to secrecy or anything.
You were just a cool dude.
And honestly, people had this impression that we kept it, under wraps, and, we weren't supposed to talk to press about it, but we told all of our friends, and the truth is that no one cared, They were just like, we're going to make this movie in 12 years, and the story is kind of this family, and they're just like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
good
but everyone in the movie, too, it's not just you and Ethan and Lorelai, it's everyone. All extras in smaller roles age during the movie. Did Richard have a script?
No. How
could you?
He had, he
had no idea what's going to happen unless he's like Nostradamus or something. What's going to happen 12 years in the future?
I think he does have some mystical powers, but
it's amazing.
But he had a structure. He definitely knew the basic points the family would go through and the changes, and certainly where it was going to end up at the end. He always wanted, Mason to go to college, but But other than that, it was kind of just worked up as it went along.
And you living your normal life as you. Could you grow your hair? Could you get a tattoo? Could you get your ear pierced?
Yeah, my ear is pierced in the second half of the movie, and I called Richard and asked him, and he was kind of like, okay, do your thing. And a lot of those haircuts were my haircuts.
I was going to say, because there's one, you look just like Nikolai from The Strokes. It's really cool, long hair, strokesy hairdo. I'm like, I wonder if that's a wig, or they're like, no, but that was...
No, that's me,
that's Ella right there.
That was always Rick's
you.
kind of idea, was to just have it, it kind of go where I went. And even, when I had acne, he kind of made a point to not cover it up, because most teenagers have acne at some point.
I noticed that in one of the scenes, and I saw that and I go, I thought it was cool. I was like, oh... This makeup and special effects really good in this.
All right, so here's just some of the stuff that happens. Maybe a little bit of spoiler stuff here, but to be honest, it's just following a family's trajectory, and it's a broken family. The parents are divorced. The mom ends up marrying 2 times in this movie, and before those 2 marriages, you see her dating someone. All 3 of the people that she's seen here, the one she's dating and the 2 people she actually married, are alcoholics and are abusive to her, verbally and physically. And the 2 marriages ended with her actually having to leave the marriage, and leave in a very abrupt way. The one, the kids are just taken immediately. The mom just goes AWOL, takes the money out of their bank account, shows up at the house. The stepdad's there and is like, hey, you 2, come with me right now. They left the house. They never went back. They don't even get their stuff that's in the house. They just had to leave. And obviously the guy is physically abusive and stuff, so it's good to cut ties. But this seems to be the pattern throughout their lives. They're just kind of taken on their own. You know, they don't have a say. It's just kind of wherever their mom takes them, wherever their mom leads them. The dad always makes an effort to wherever the mom moves to be near enough that he can still be there for the kids on his every other weekend that he gets to see them. Just very kind of brutal to watch and see the effects of growing up in such a broken household like that. All right, so something with the boy that happens, you know, which happens with most teenagers. You want to have freedom. And I thought it was interesting that in the movie, it shows the boy doing this sometimes. The one time he comes in late with the second stepdad, right? He comes in like 15 minutes after curfew, I guess. It was a midnight curfew. I think that's pretty late curfew for a 15-year-old, but comes in 15 minutes late. And, you know, the stepdad is like, hey, what time is it? 12:15. He's like, happy birthday! You know, that's how you find out it's his birthday. You're thinking he's going to bust his chops for coming in, like, really late. But instead, it's like, hey, it's after 12. It means it's your birthday. Happy birthday. And the mom is like, hey, have you been drinking? And he's like, have you? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, have you been smoking too? He's kind of like, yeah, a little, you know? So, I mean, it's smoking dope. And the mom just kind of lets it go, which is kind of odd, right? So it's weird that sometimes there's this freedom, and then other times, after a while, it's like, okay, that was cool for one night, I guess, but later, as it progresses, he ends up staying out even later and, like, comes in at, like, 3 p.m. one night, right? And the stepdad's sitting out there with a huge, like, empty case of beer from where he's been drinking all night, waiting for the boy to show up, and he reams him when he comes in. And the kid's just like, who are you to say this? You're not my dad, right? So it shows, like, the difficulty living in a broken family when it's like, well, who is this person? Does he have authority over me or not? You're sitting here plastered drunk right now. Why should I even respect you? And who are you to reprimand me? And I thought that was kind of interesting because throughout this movie, you know, he's had no freedom. He's always had to go wherever his mom goes, live under the roof or household with whoever the mom marries, even if that person she marries has other kids. And now it's like, now I got to deal with these other siblings that all of a sudden are now mine. And then when you get a divorce, I never see those siblings again, right? So was that my brother? Was it not? A lot of interesting, difficult stuff. Having to lose friends every time she moves because of, you know, having to get away from her abusive relationships in the film. So he's kind of like, you know, now he's at a point where he's like, you know, I want to have freedom. And it's always been modeled to me that these adults get to have freedom and do whatever they want. And I'm pretty much now a young adult. So why do I not have the same freedom? And who actually has the authority? And what was interesting was, like, the mom was asleep. The stepdad was out there seeming to care, right? But the mom wasn't there. So it just kind of shows difficulty in the life. The mom pretty much, I think, always does stuff for her best interest and what she wants and not the kids. And so very easily, I think that you can see the son in this movie growing up eventually kind of be like, I'm kind of ready to cut free from this. But at the same time, he's had very little guidance in life, very little direction given by the adults in his life. And he's kind of sitting there going, how do I cut free? When I'm 18, I don't have money. Like, where do I go? I'm always kind of under the strings of these adults in my life who don't have their own act together. Even though they're providing for my physical sustenance. So very little guidance or direction in life, you know, beyond the kind of concrete structure which society has put in place with elementary through high school. That definitely gives structure. You're going to be here at this time, and you're going to leave at this time, and then you have a few hours to have to go home and eat dinner and survive and do homework and stuff. So it's this very concrete structure that keeps kids in line. And so the movie, I think, kind of is going, we're like, here he is. He's under his parents' control. He's under his parents' structure. And when this society structure fails or ends in high school, now he's got freedom, but he's had no good guidance from his parents. He's kind of directionless. So what does he do in life when free from after high school? Does he go to college? Does he get a job? What type of job would he get where he could actually, like, you know, live, have a house, raise kids of his own, be productive, not have to be on welfare, that sort of stuff. The movie, at the end, when he does graduate, has a scene where he's getting advice from his dad. And he's getting this advice after a big breakup he had with this relationship that he had with a girl in high school. And it was right before he's going to college. And the dad basically says about all of life, we're just winging it, you know? We're just winging it. He's like, who am I to give you advice? Look at how And this is the cool thing about it. The dad's the best character in the whole film because he admitted again and again that he was in error, that he was not doing what was best and right for his kids, that his mistakes, his sins, his errors affected them. And he apologized multiple times throughout the whole film. And he genuinely, you could see, was reaching out the best he could to connect with his kids every other weekend when he got to see them. But at the same time, you got to see like how easy that was, right? I'm the dad that sweeps in every 2 weeks. We go out to a baseball game. We go to a museum. We go have fun. We go camping. I'm the fun dad. I bring gifts every time I see you. We have a good time, and we talk, and I try to be real with you, but he's not having to deal with the day-to-day grind of getting them to school, dealing with them when they, go out and drink for the first time, or having to provide for their food every day and making sure they have clothes and dealing with them when they're sick. Like he just has fun with them. And sometimes at expense of some of their other duties they have towards school. Like one time they gets back and it's like, well, you did this, but he has this project that he should have completed. And they don't have chores with the dad, but they have chores with the stepdads and the mom. So it's kind of showing the whole conflict there that arises from this broken family. But anyways, the dad ends up admitting basically at the end, like, who am I to give you advice right now? Look at me. He's like, it's taken me, it's taken me 20 years to get to this point right now where I'm a neutered man, basically saying I'm no longer partier, I'm no longer doing the things I want. I'm now married, because he does remarry. He actually marries again. So he marries again, and now he's that guy that he thinks the kid's mom always wanted him to be, and they always were fighting and stuff, And that is the thing that they show. Most of the people she marries do have their act together. They do have a home. They do have steady jobs. They are respected, but they have this alcohol abusive thing going on. So the dad that wasn't abusive to the kids and probably wasn't abusive to her, but clearly kind of had his own agenda because throughout the movie you see he's trying to make it big as like a musician, right? So it's like that's hard. A lot of people fail as a musician and they don't actually make money on it. And they have these like little jobs that don't necessarily pay as well. So it's kind of showing that whole conflict, but now he's kind of settled. He's working for an insurance company, kind of giving up the music gig dream, and he was like, hey, 20 years, I'm finally who your mom wants to be, and maybe if I was here 20 years ago, you and your sister would have had a better life. And the kid interrupts and was like, yeah, I'd not been dragged through that train wreck of, stepdad after stepdad and abusive relationships. And the dad's just kind of like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. And he's pretty much just like, did the best I could. I don't even know what's happening for myself. I'm just winging it. And he said, that's pretty much what we're doing in this life. We're all just winging it. We just go, and something happens in life, and we have to adjust. We've all been dealt different cards, and we all just have to deal with the cards that have been dealt us. And I thought that was pretty interesting advice, because it basically says there is no direction in life. I can't even help you as a dad. You kind of got to make your own path. But then the final advice, or line from the film, he meets, he gets to go hiking with 3 new people that he meets when he first gets to school, to college. He's sitting by one of the girls that he's hiking with, and she pretty much is like, I don't think we're supposed to seize the moment, as it's oftentimes said, but that the moment seizes us. And I got the audio for you, so I'll go ahead and insert her little line here.
You know how everyone's always saying, seize the moment? I don't know. I'm kind of thinking it's the other way around. Like, the moment seizes us.
Yeah, I know. It's constant. The moments, it's like it's always right now,
Yeah.
Here, in my place and time.
So that's it. We're just in the now. We have no direction according to the dad, and according to this girl, we have no control. Is that a pretty image? Is that one that's supposed to make us happy? Is that one that's supposed to make us content? Well, I did mention that the dad had married a lady, and what was interesting was that he ended up marrying a Christian lady, and that her parents are Christian. And there's a scene in the movie, it's about halfway through the movie, where they go for his birthday to visit these step grandparents, right? And they spend time with the dad's new wife and stuff. So his new stepmom, the one that he only sees every other weekend or whatever. But they really take the kids under their wing, these step grandparents. They treat them as their own. The step granddad gives the son this shotgun that's been in the family for multiple generations. He teaches him how to shoot it. They go to church together in one scene, and it's a normal church. The people are normal. The message is scriptural. It's a guy preaching straight from a biblical text in a normal voice, not any crazy charismatic stuff. And you can tell it's really impacting the kids, I think, what's being said, because what he's preaching is this stability and this direction and this hope that they do not have in their life. And that trip and visit with the new step-grandparents was the only time of calm and peace in the film. They're fishing by the lake. They're having good talks. There's this time where in the evening, their dad, new stepmom, step-grandparents, they're sitting on the porch, and the dad's just singing songs, and they're all singing together. They're all singing and taking part in the songs. And they're just being there together, and they have good meals together and everything. So there's no fights, there's no drunken moments. It, honestly, in the middle of the film there, I think is the image of what families should be. And it's a family that had direction. And I find what most interesting is it's a family that had the direction of God. And so in this whole movie of sloppiness, it's basically all the characters are void of God. And the only characters that seem to have their act together, that seem to have family, that seem to put being with one another over material possessions or over some sort of selfish dreams, or even, and just people that were not narcissistic and only thinking about themselves, were Christians. And I just thought it was really amazing. And there's a scene there where the kid even asked the dad, the dad's like, hey, you guys think you'll be available this weekend? I'd love to have you come to. He has a new kid, new baby, so he has this new girl or boy, I forget what it was, who's a good 15 years younger than his youngest son, right? So he's like, yeah, we're going to baptize her. And he's like, Dad, were we baptized? And he just laughs. He's like, do you think you were baptized with how I was 15 years ago? No way, And they're like, so are you going all Jesus? And he's kind of like, he kind of indicates, yeah, I think this is what's best and what's right. But, obviously it doesn't fit with the whole winging it advice at the end. So I don't know if he ever really swung around to it. But I just thought it was very interesting that, you see this juxtaposition in the film. Those who just have life just making it up as they go, just trying to figure out what works without any true guidance. And then you got this girl who's saying, it doesn't matter what we do, life is going to seize us. We don't really have an option, which I think was an interesting way to end it, because for the boy, his entire life experience, that is what it was. He didn't get to seize any moments. Moments always seized him. His mom goes, pack up, we're moving right now. You don't get to say goodbye to your friends. You don't get to say goodbye to your stepbrother or sister. We're gone. Right? And this happens multiple times. He has virtually zero say in his life. So for him, he's kind of like, yeah, maybe that's it. And they just kind of sit there and they smile, because in that moment, to quote that band, what was that band? I forget the band, but it's a great song. Wish You Were Here. It's not the Pink Floyd version, but it's it's just a line in that song that says, in this moment, I am happy. Right? And so in that moment, he's happy. And it's just kind of like, well, I guess it's because it is, which is really sad to think about. But this movie, I think, just really touched me to maybe look at my students that I teach in a different way. How many of them have come from these broken homes who've been dragged around their whole life? How many of them, are in homes with crazy stuff going on every day? And I know people very personally, very close to me that I won't name, because I don't have their permission to name them and to even maybe address some of the scenarios. But I know people very close that have come out of broken homes that maybe even the parents aren't divorced, but are just, it's extreme chaos, right? And they really have no control, and they suffer with extreme anxiety throughout their entire lives. And so when I'm working with some of these kids, maybe that's something I need to consider, because through this movie, it also pointed out that some of the people that gave the most direction to this kid were not his family members, not the people who were designed by God to do so, but the people who were like his teachers, right? Speaking little words of wisdom in, even if it's 1 minute here pulled aside at class or something like that. So it's something I need to think about. Who are these people who I may have a great influence on, who I don't even know what's going on in their personal life, but I may have a huge impact. And it even showed that with the mom in this movie, who is a teacher, who pretty much was horrible for her kids, but she ended up impacting one person's life very, very big by like a 1-minute conversation, right? And near the end of the movie, he comes up to her and is like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me. I worked at your house this one day. You told me I was very smart and that I should consider going to school and that I could actually do something." He's like, "Well, I did. And now I'm this and now I'm that. And right now I'm blah, 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 blah. And so I just want to say thank you." And the two kids are sitting there like, "That's cool. Like, you never said we were smart. You never gave us direction. You never gave us tips." And it's just kind of like, yeah. Sometimes we really need to consider who are the people in our lives that we can help, who maybe not have any help of their own, no one on their side, but then at the same time, think about the people who are directly close to us, that we do have these lifelong vocations and callings to. Are we feeding into them what we sometimes feed into with the random stranger? Anyways, just love this movie. Really a lot for me to think of. That's what I was thinking of throughout it. And kind of this whole impact of like how important family structure is in God's design for family. And how when you get stepdads and stepmoms and multiple divorces and stepsisters, stepbrothers, I mean, all sorts of chaos that can unfold. I mean, I've even heard of times where it's like, you know, you think about you're in high school and all of a sudden you're living with someone who's in your same grade, who's of the opposite sex, and she's now your stepsister, right? Any other situation, you wouldn't be able to sleep in the same house together without like people being really worried about, are they two going to hook up right now? You know, like, so like anyways, I've just heard of, you know, situations like that where like stepsisters and brothers end up, you know, having sex together and all sorts of craziness. And it's like, well, technically, like in the world's eye, like, you know, they're not blood related, so genetically there's no problem there. But just as a family, that is I mean, think about the repercussions that would be, just wrinkling through time. You know, let's say they end up cutting that off, but then later, and that stuff doesn't happen in this movie. It's just that's how extreme things can be when we break God's designed order of a man and wife together, procreating, having kids, raising their kids, and you know, taking care of their kids. And being good role models and teaching them God's word and bringing them up in the faith. Just really, really kind of hit me hard thinking about the impact of that, because at the same time as I was watching, I think it was the day I watched this movie, I read a paper from one of my students who interviewed a Mormon, and she basically said what Mormonism is all about really to her, and what the problem is that the world has is broken families. She actually said that. She said the family is the most important thing. And from what I know, for Mormons, that's really what's important to them. And obviously they really focus on the family because, you know, if they do it right, they get to have endless celestial sex for years to come with their many spirit wives and stuff like that, and have many spirit children forever on their own planet. But for them, it really is this family nucleus. And from what I've heard, a lot of people are drawn into Mormonism who've come from these broken homes, who desire those type of families that they see in the Mormon community that seem to have their whole act together, and are doing what God has designed to be done. And so I think that's something for us to think about as Christians, because as Philippians 2 says, we are to live such godly lives amongst the pagans, right? And shine like stars without grumbling and complaining, as we hold out the word of life. So that's all the stuff I was thinking of this movie, Boyhood. I recommend it just to be able to see this unfold. Maybe you get completely other thoughts and applications for your own life from it. But it was just really cool to see, because like I said, I've never seen this done before, where a person is a movie's filmed over 12 years. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Just to even see like the change in clothing, the change in technology, and all this and like social media popping up, right? Like when they start filming this stuff, they probably have no clue about what they're going to end up getting into, technology-wise, society-wise, when they started this endeavor of filming this boy's growing up through high school and going to college time in life.
The following is an excerpt from the Gospel Coalition's review of Andy Rasman's book, Contradict, They Can't All Be True. Quote, Contradict will help a lot of conversations get started. Rasman provides Christian believers with a great starting point for understanding and evaluating many of the world's religions. He should be commended for writing a substantive apologetic book that's also practical on so many levels. The strongest sections are where he offers a concise guide on interacting with skeptics skeptics and other religious adherents. Many readers will find Rasman's section on the 20 facts on the 5 major world religions and 20 questions that are most commonly asked when sharing the Contradict message invaluable. This is a solid book, apologetically, theologically, and practically. I pray it will open the eyes of many believers to the importance of evangelizing in a pluralistic age." Unquote. To financially support Reconnect, visit contradictmovement.org and order your copy of Contradict, They Can't All Be True. Contradict stickers and tracks are also available. Again, that's contradictmovement.org.
As I said, the other movie I watched this week was La La Land. I think it's won a lot of awards at the Golden Globes this year. Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling are the main stars. For myself, I think the best thing about this movie was the cinematography. Tons of wide angles, tons of great sets, lots of cool sort of tricks, light tricks, different things like that. I can't rave about the dancing so much. Some of the dancing seemed a little very much memorized and rehearsed, so you could tell them doing the steps, but it just didn't seem natural, didn't seem to flow. It seemed more like they just memorized the steps and were hitting the steps, so sometimes it almost seemed kind of robotic in the motions, very stiff, not very loose. That's just my opinion, and I think that can be affirmed in this little short audio clip of a video I got off YouTube that I'm going to play for you, because it talked about how the 2 stars really had to go through dance training, because that's not something that's normally in their repertoire, although they both did a good job at it. I think their little thing here about them having to train for the dance kind of lends itself to what I just said, in my opinion of it, very robotic. Here's a little video I'm going to play just in case you don't know anything about the movie. Haven't seen a trailer for it or anything like that. It's a Mojo video. They usually give, a certain number of facts about a movie. I think this one's going to give 7 facts about La La Land. Maybe it's just 5 facts. I forget. But here's a little video. It tells some facts on the movie La La Land and from Mojo, and it'll give you a good idea about what the video or what the movie is and what it's about and what the director was trying to accomplish in it.
Here's to the ones who dream. Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down the top 5 facts about La La Land that you should know. Here's to the ones who dream. Number 5. This will be the 3rd movie with Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone.
It's pretty strange that we keep running into each other.
Maybe it means something.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Gosling and Stone previously starred opposite each other in the romantic comedy Crazy Stupid Love and the action thriller Gangster Squad.
Are you weak in the knees yet?
Sure I am.
And La La Land will mark their 3rd. In an Entertainment Weekly interview, director Damien Chazelle described the two as the closest thing we have right now to an old Hollywood couple.
When we were casting up the movie, part of the appeal to me was that Ryan and Emma, they're going to be a couple. You can see them and imagine them together. It was like Fred and Ginger or Bogart and Bacall, a classic Hollywood screen couple.
Gosling and Stone weren't the only possibilities, however. Miles Teller and Emma Watson were originally set to star. After Teller was dropped from the project, Gosling became Chazelle's new leading man. Meanwhile, Watson had to step down in order to play Belle in the live-action Beauty and the Beast. Chazelle met Stone while she was starring in the 2014 revival of Cabaret, and cast Stone partly based on her Broadway experience.
You have 2 actors who have an on-screen chemistry that I think is one for the ages.
Number 4. The film's title has a double meaning. This modern musical takes place against the fantastic backdrop of Los Angeles, which is also known as La La Land. The movie's title isn't just a reference to LA's nickname, though. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines La La Land as a euphoric, dreamlike mental state detached from the harsher realities of life. This makes the title especially fitting, as the film encompasses both the magic of movies and the brutal nature of show business.
2 options. You either follow my rules or follow my rules. Capiche?
Thank you.
I can do it a different way.
No, that's fine. Thank you very much.
According to The Hollywood Reporter, Chazelle stated the idea was to take the old musical but ground it in real life where things don't always exactly work out.
I wanted to really try to highlight the just what they go through, trying to get apart. It's not easy.
At the same time, Chazelle wanted to pay tribute to the ones who dream, as foolish as they may seem.
Here's to the ones who dream, foolish as they may seem.
Number 3, the film was shot using CinemaScope.
Lately, you've begun to imagine at CinemaScope.
La La Land is a love letter to Singin' in the Rain, The Bandwagon, and 1950s movie musicals.
It's amazing to be here scoring La La Land on the same stage where they scored Singin' in the Rain and all those great MGM musicals.
In order to give his picture a genuine old-fashioned look and feel, Chazelle decided to film in glorious CinemaScope. For those that don't know, this lens system was primarily used for filming widescreen movies from 1953 to 1967. Chazelle additionally strived to shoot many scenes in single takes, paying homage to the works of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers.
It wasn't about sort of showing off technically. It was more about trying to create an environment where this stuff was just unfolding.
Sure.
So you didn't really get the sense of okay, here's real life, and here's the musical number, and here's real life again.
The ambitious director was also influenced by the 1964 French-German musical The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, and especially the jazzy 1967 The Young Girls of Rochefort. The result is a film with very contemporary characters and themes, but with the atmosphere of a musical from Hollywood's golden age.
Every cast member was infected by this idea that you could reimagine these great old movies.
Number 2, the film stars had to brush up on multiple skills.
The training of Ryan and Emma was a whole nother beast, because it's not only are you choreographing a film, you're going to train the main actors how to dance.
Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling are two of the most versatile performers in the business right now, but even they needed to learn a few new skills for La La Land. Stone previously studied ballet and palm dancing during her youth, although she had to pick up ballroom and tap dancing for this role.
We did lots of preparation with Mandy Moore, learning to tap dance and learn jazz and ballroom.
Gosling not only learned how to tap dance, but also mastered playing the piano. Ironically, co-star John Legend is a professionally trained pianist.
Ryan and John joked that it was all part of my master plan to cast John Legend, but deprive him of his normal instrument and give that one to Ryan.
Since Gosling's character mainly plays the piano, however, Legend had to familiarize himself with the guitar.
I had to learn playing guitar for the film and just trying to make sure I felt confident and comfortable.
By the end of the film's production, Legend was actually a little jealous of Gosling's newfound piano playing skills. Coming from a Grammy and Oscar-winning songwriter, that's high praise.
And I was kind of jealous about how fast he learned to be awesome at piano.
Number 1, the film had a rough start.
This movie took a long time from writing to finally getting on the screen, and but the whole time, what you said, I knew for sure that it would live or die based on the chemistry between these two characters, between me and Sebastian.
One of the major themes in La La Land is that nobody's dreams come true overnight. This film's bumpy start is a testament to that. Chazelle actually conceived the script in 2010, but no studio was willing to invest in an original movie musical.
How are you going to be a revolutionary if you're such a traditionalist? You're holding on to the past, but jazz is about the future.
With assistance from producers Fred Berger and Jordan Horowitz, the script eventually made it to Focus Features with a $1 million budget. The studio insisted on several changes, compromising Chazelle's vision. Putting La La Land on the shelf, Chazelle wrote and directed the indie hit Whiplash, which went on to win 3 Academy Awards. Now that Chazelle had the industry's attention, Summit Entertainment decided to take a chance on his longtime passion project. Talk about a true Hollywood success story.
Maybe I'm not good enough.
Yes, you are.
Maybe I'm not. It's like a pipe dream.
This is the dream. It's conflict and it's compromise. And it's very, very exciting.
So do you think we have a Best Picture winner on our hands? What La La Land fact do you find the most surprising? For more dreamy top 10s and toe-tapping top 5s published every day, be sure to subscribe to Ms. Mojo.
All right, so this movie was I thought it was very slow at the beginning. Very, very slow. I think a lot of musicals are, though, sometimes, because sometimes it's just singing and dancing that doesn't really propel the story forward so much. But maybe it gives you some insight into the characters and their dreams and aspirations and whatnot. But so anyways, I thought it had a really slow beginning. it kind of picked up a little bit, at least during the slow parts. Like I said, cinematography was rocking, really amazing. I can't rave about the singing at all, or even the dancing so much, but the locations, the cinematography was just phenomenal. I loved looking at it and the different styles and approaches to, cutting scene to scene and just having really long scenes with what appear to be single cuts and a lot, like very little editing, just look really long scenes. Kind of like, I forget the guy's name. Big name director did Midnight in Paris. Makes a movie every single year. Atheist guy. Man, why can I not think of the guy's name? Anyways, Midnight in Paris is the one I like that he did with Owen Wilson. But this director, I'm going to look it up real quick. Anyways, this director I'm thinking of, he's known for, I think movies that are more about dialogue, very long scenes, just where you see the people talking, and really, it's about cinematography, seeing what, just kind of being where they are, like Midnight in Paris, it's done in Paris, and Woody Allen, that's the guy, Woody Allen. So it's more like these set piece films, where like it's all about this dialogue, and they're just walking in the street at night, and it's just like it's beautiful. You get to see the city. It's almost like you get to travel to this place, and I feel like they did that with this movie in a way by filming it almost like it was an older movie, but it was in modern times. So it gave like a whole new kind of look to it in that sense. But this movie, what really hit me was that, and this is spoiler, so quit now if you really care. And I won't actually spoil it by saying what actually occurs, but I will spoil coming up here about now. So stop if you don't want that. The leading couple work together. They become a couple. They actually are a romantic couple. They do the typical Hollywood thing. They sleep together. They live together without being married. And the movie goes through seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall. And then when it goes back to winter, it actually jumps ahead 5 years. And so at the end of fall, you're like, hey, I think they're both making it. I think they're both now going to be successful. They're going to meet their LA dreams of making it big, of hitting the money train and doing what they love, the art. And flash forward to the winter 5 years ahead, and they're not together anymore. And the movie never tells us why they broke up, how they broke up. But you see the one character's married and has a child now. And both successful in doing what their dream was. And you never figure out why they weren't together, but it ends where they both see each other and recognize that they made their dreams. But you can see an immense sorrow amongst both of them because they aren't together. So it's kind of like saying, hey, they made their worldly dream, they made their career dream, they made their artistic dream, but they're still not satisfied because they don't have each other. So they didn't get everything that they wanted. And it seems like at that point, even though they were successful, they're going to have this lifelong agony because they're not together. But I hate the movie because it doesn't tell us why they're not together. Why did they break up? What prompted that? And even then, they're still not happy being together. And so I kind of thought this was very much a letdown. And in some ways, maybe just a reality. Because La La Land, obviously... Let's type this in, see if the dictionary.com will give me an answer. La La Land. A state of being out of touch with reality. And so in some ways, what they were living, what they were doing, the whole way the thing was filmed, they were kind of in La La Land. It was their joyland. They were in dreamland. They were going through these seasons. They obviously had winter, which was difficult, and, come to summer, hey, everything's popping, things like that for one. I don't know, it was just kind of interesting. Like, they were in La La Land, they were in this, like, almost fairyland world, which is kind of what most dance stuff is, right? Because no one actually breaks out in dance and song like they do in musicals and all the set pieces and the magical photography that they were doing with the cinematography of this movie. That's not real life. And so maybe the idea was, real life, you don't get what you want, and you have heartbreak, And that's real life, and that's LA. And even for the ones that make it big and successful, they still have heartbreak. And it just leaves you there. And I thought maybe the sad thing with this is that there is no hope, because there is no Christ in this movie. There is no God in this movie. It's just people doing what they want and trying to get what they want, and sometimes they get it and sometimes they don't, and their sinful desires and the way they live sinfully, they end up hurting themselves and each other. And it's just really depressing. It just ends with them, seeing each other and knowing they're not going to be together. And if they are going to be together, it means the one is going to end up getting a divorce, already has a kid with that person, and then is going to marry the person that they wanted to be with. And if that's what happens through the next spring, summer, fall, I mean, why? I can't condone that, right, as a Christian, because you shouldn't just get a divorce to marry the person that you want to be with, and then you have a kid that you've dragged into that whole situation and scenario that we saw play out in the movie Boyhood that I just spoke about. And I think this really just leaves me with, as Christians, we are really called to stand apart. And the family is centered to this and centered to the gospel as the man represents Christ. Is that just as Christ is the head of the church and gives his life for the church, the husband is called to do the same thing, to be the head of the marriage and to give his life for his bride. And the bride is to submit to the husband, just as the church is to submit to Christ. And when done correctly and in love and done rightly and not sinfully, this is a great representation of the church for Christ and Christ for the church. And we as Christians have a lot of divorces, have a lot of remarriages, have a lot of broken homes, have, all this mess ourselves. And in our own lives, are we reflecting Christ through our vocation of husband and wife? And I think it's just very interesting that we reflect the gospel when marriage is working correctly. And obviously we're in a sinful world and no marriage is going to be perfect. And that's where we need Christ. But without Christ in your relationship, without Christ in your marriage, what hope do you have? When times go bad, when things really, when you lose a loved one, like when you lose a child to death, when you lose a job, when you get into fights, when you get angry, when one person is unfaithful, when one person is like not loving and caring, you just up and leave and get the other person that you want to be with, that you think will fulfill your dreams. And it's like we're only fulfilled in Christ. And it's when we have that fulfillment in Christ and Christ is there with us in the marriage that marriages can work despite the sinfulness, despite the dysfunctionality. And we actually have an objective standard and authority to appeal to besides each other, right? So instead of us just duking it out to see who has extreme authority and who gets their way and who's right, we know who's right, we know who has extreme authority, and it's Christ who's outside of our marriage who is for our marriage. And I just think this is something that we as the church really need to step into and help people along with marriages. And this movie had no hope in it whatsoever, and it's just going through the seasons. And basically with that, you just know you're always going to be repeating the seasons. You're going to have heartbreak, you're going to have new love, but that new love will fade and die, and then you're going to have new love, and you're going to have new dreams, and you're going to struggle, and then you'll meet those dreams, and you'll get a new love, and then that love will die, and then maybe that dream will die, and you just keep going through these cycles, and there's no end to it. It's very cyclical. It's very new age. It's very reincarnation, and it's very much you are your own God. You pursue your own dreams, maybe at the sacrifice of someone else's dreams. And because you're always self-centered and serving your own dreams, you can't actually have lasting, lifelong relationship with anyone, and in particular Christ, because you're putting yourself before Christ with your dreams and aspirations and not submitting to Him and His way. Just as Jesus said, he who loses his life for my sake will gain it, but he who saves his life will lose it. And what good is it to gain the whole world, but to lose your very soul? It really is a thing of first saying, I am not God, I am not perfect, and I need God, who is perfect. And Hollywood, by and by, does not have that narrative in its movies, does not have that at all. And so when a movie takes you to La La Land, everything's peachy. But when that movie brings you back into reality, everything is just brokenness, and that's what we have in this. That's what we have in this world. And Christ is the one who mends our broken hearts and mends our brokenness and makes things new again, makes things right again. And it's what the end of Revelation is, that he's coming again, and he's coming to make all things new, to recreate. And so the message we have as Christians is that there is a God, he is good, he does love us, and that through the person of Jesus Christ, he gives us new life, and he makes us more and more like him in his image that we were originally created in. And that message is what the world needs. That message is the gospel, and it reconnects us into a right relationship with God. We get to share that message. We're blessed to share that message. And thank you for listening. Hopefully something here is stuck on this Eclectic Bullet episode. And if you liked it, please keep listening to future episodes and leave a review for me on iTunes. I don't really have any reviews. I hear getting a bunch of 5-star reviews can help your podcast be seen more, heard more. Please do that. Leave me a review, please. And check out my website, contradictmovement.org. Contradictmovement.org. I also got andyrasman.com. andyrasman.com. Last name is WRASMAN is where you can find blog posts for these podcast episodes. I usually have links to other things that you can check out there. God bless you, and just remember, it's in Jesus Christ alone that we're reconnected into a right relationship with the Lord.
Your mission, if you choose to accept it, share this episode on all of your social media sites and with your email contacts, people who will benefit from listening to the show. Thank you for listening. Reconnect us, O Lord.